I'm coming in for another Get Ready With Me. I'm actually just now starting. So today, by the way, if you've been watching my last Get Ready With Me, I am going to change my clothes. I've been wearing this same sweatshirt out, but I am about to change real quick after I get done with what I'm doing. But anyway, so today I am doing a job interview. I'm excited, and so I'm going to do makeup. I'm starting with a already cleaned and moisturized face. So I wanted to talk about this whole thing with ghosting, zombieing, and kindness. Can we potentially get kindness? So there's a situation. Let me do what I need to do first with my hair. There's a situation that happened that I talked about on a TikTok recently. And then a friend of mine just recently brought a different situation to me that I was like, you know what, do you mind if I talk about that on my YouTube Get Ready With Me? Because, yeah, this is a relationship focused. It could be any relationship, dating or whatever. But the situation that I talked about on my TikTok was, and it was quite the controversial. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but basically, what happened was on Facebook, I saw a friend of a friend. It's easier for me to pluck in the sunlight because I can see what I need to pluck easier. So, okay, let me get to the point. Sorry. Let me focus. Okay. So a friend of a friend said something like, have you ever had a first date that like went so bad you never saw him again or something like that? Like what happened on a first date? I forgot what the question was. It was a prompt. And there was a guy who said that he went on a first date with a woman. He said it was a really nice date. They had a really nice time. He said smashed and everything. And he was like, and then afterwards, she showed him pictures of her dead or stillborn newborn twins. And he was like, I didn't like that. And so afterwards, she reached out, but I never talked to her again. Hold on. These are clean, by the way. I feel like I've got like moisturizer in my eyes. So anyway, so he never talked to her again. And so I responded back and I was like, so you ghosted her? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, why didn't you, I said, if you don't mind my asking, like, why did you ghost her? And he was like, you know, I just felt like it was a little much or something like that. I can't remember the exact conversation. And I was like, why didn't you just tell her like, hey, I didn't like that. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Why did you let her keep calling and texting you? And so, I don't know if he responded now. I can't remember. But basically I made a TikTok and I was like, you know, I think that it would have been nice for him to at least say, like, hey, I had a nice time. I had fun, but you showing me that picture was a little much. I don't know. I don't think that it was like a thing where she asked him like, hey, can I show you this picture? And he said no. And then she showed him anyway. I think it was like something where like, I'm guessing they were having a conversation and then she got vulnerable and showed it to him and he was just really freaked out by it. The point being that I don't think it was malicious of her. I don't think she was trying to be malicious. Like, he doesn't want to see this picture. I'm going to show it to him, you know? And so I didn't think that she deserved to be ghosted because, you know, he said she kept trying to reach out to him and he never talked to her again after that. And I think my empathy was like a little bit triggered. I was a little bit triggered by that. Ghosting is really hard on me as someone with abandonment wounds. I would always prefer someone to say like, hey, I'm not interested than to have me reaching out, feeling stupid. And especially in her situation, I felt like she was experiencing some trauma around losing newborns. I felt like if he were a woman and had experienced pregnancy loss, he would have been kind enough to at least respond to her, especially since that is the reason It was no other reason. He said they had a nice time. The sex was fine. There was literally no other reason that he never talked to her again other than she showed him those damn pictures. Or a picture, I guess. I don't know. And so this is, I'm not saying whether or not he was right or wrong, but having a conversation with my friend about this, the dilemma is, what is our responsibility to people? So I put this on a TikTok. Let's say I got a lot of comments on this one. People were fighting with each other. I mean, it was intense. People had very intense opinions about this. And I would say out of the maybe 100 comments I got on this post, 85 comments, 85 of the comments were man, F her, and she should have never did that, and you know, he had a boundary and she broke the boundary, and because of that she deserved to be ghosted, and it was just really hard on her. Like, that's too much, and what was she thinking? And you know, she's just crazy. And it was just really like, I was really surprised. I was really surprised. And some people were, and so I was pushing back like, well, they slept together, you know, like if she felt vulnerable enough to sleep with him, she probably felt vulnerable enough to share this picture with him. Like sometimes, you know, for women, that level of vulnerability, especially if it was a nice date, makes you feel like you can trust somebody, you know, and I've definitely been there, like sleeping with somebody and then it feels like you can trust them, you know, and so, some like she probably shared because she felt some level of trust, you know, some level of like, oh, he, you know, I like him. We just had sex. And I can't find something I need right now. Oh, well, I'll just try this. Yeah, I'll just use this. Anyway, so, this is not, I would not usually use this bright of red to color correct, but I can't find my orange one. So I'm just gonna put this over it. But anyway, so people out of those, so 85 people were like, out of 100, let's just say, 85 of them were like, yeah, what I just said. And then the rest, there was like 10 people out of 100 who agreed with me and were like, it would have been nice for him. It would have been nice for him to just let her know, like, hey, I had a nice time, but that was just too much. Like that was just a shot of reality. That was just a little bit too much for me. Or even if he didn't say that, even if he just said, I had a nice time, but thanks, but no thanks. Or like, or even if he didn't say I had a nice time, just like, I'm not interested. Even that sometimes can be a balm on someone's soul when they're feeling raw. Because I can only imagine that she was feeling kind of raw. But yeah, some people are like, yeah, they had some sex and, you know, he ain't like her. He has no responsibility to her, which I was initially pushing back on. But this is where I've landed on it now. They're both true. I have a really good friend. Her name's Tariva. And Tariva has really helped me to see and live in this in-between of like, they can both be true. It would, yes, it would have been kind of him to, this is not what Tariva is saying. This is me saying this because she's challenged me to really live in between. But what my thought is, it would have been kind of him to say, hey, you know, I don't want to ghost you. I'm sorry. But at the same time, he doesn't have a responsibility to her. And he doesn't have to tell her like that was too much. And he never brought up the word boundary. That's what came up in my TikTok comments. Like, she broke his boundary. He never brought up that word. I'm not sure if he felt like she broke a boundary. But anyway, I am curious what y'all think about, drop me a line in the comments, what y'all think about this whole idea of ghosting. And it's one thing that I really hate about this generation, about dating right now. I try not to do it in any way, shape, or form. I just think it's a really irresponsible, unkind form of non-communication. I think it just shows a real immaturity, a real depth, lack of depth of emotional involvement. I think it shows, I think it's giving, I'm a mean person and I don't care. I really, really hate it. I really hate ghosting. Yeah, I really don't do it. Even if I meet a guy on a dating app and I'm not really interested, if he's trying to make attempts to reach out to me, I will tell, even if we never met in person, I'll tell him like, hey, I'm not interested. I hope you have a great life. You know, I hope you find what you're looking for. I don't ever just ignore, because I just think it's really mean. Like, in what context is it ever just, and I know you don't have a responsibility to the person. I know, especially if you never met them, never went on a date, I know there's no responsibility. So I'm trying to live in the both end. There's no responsibility for me that I have to let a guy know if he's reaching out to me, if I'm not interested. But I think that ghosting is just, I think it's just really, really, really immature. And I know people disagree with that. I know people feel like, nope, I'm not interested. So you'll get the message one day. But I find that there's lots of ways right now that in relationships and dating in general, people are just more savage than I'm comfortable with, just in general. And that's okay. I'm okay being me about this. I'm okay just saying, yeah, I'm me. And then there's this new thing called zombieing. So apparently zombieing is, I just read about this. It's so funny because it said it was like the new dating trend. Apparently zombieing is when somebody ghosts you and then they come back from the dead like a few weeks, maybe even months later, and they want to hook up or they want to date you again. And so I've definitely had that happen too. And I feel like I've definitely done that too with no malicious intent. Just like, you know, well, actually, no, I can't say that I've done that because that requires me ghosting them first and I don't do that. So, but I definitely have popped back up on people like, hey, I was thinking about you again, but not after I ghosted, because I don't ghost. But if there's someone who I ghosted, which I don't do, but if I ever did, I would never reach back out to them because there was a obvious reason. Like the only reason I would ghost somebody or have ghosted somebody is if they were rude and inappropriate or horrible to me or toxic, and I just knew like there is no hope for no connection. Like, why would I even think that? I don't even think it's ghosting at that point. I think that's just self-protection, especially for women, because we are too vulnerable to be out here risking our lives. And cis men, especially if you're straight, cis men can be way too violent to be out here like, yeah, no. So anyway, so zombieing, and then there's another one, breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is often brought up in the context of narcissistic abuse, but breadcrumbing is when somebody just leads you on, like they just give you breadcrumbs, like just enough to keep you still interested, but they're at least in dating, but they're not planning on doing anything or ever having a relationship with you, or they just want to keep sleeping with you or whatever, or basically wasting your time, wasting your energy. So they keep you around. So what are the terms? Ghosting, breadcrumbing, zombieing. Oh, and then actual kindness. Actual respectable kindness is the last one. So this situation came up, another situation, one of my girls, and this is kind of what got me on this topic of thinking about this, of like how we should or could respond to people. Basically what happened is she met a guy she really liked. They had great conversation. Like they had like three or four phone conversations before they ever even met in person. Actually, I don't know if they actually did meet in person. I don't remember. But anyway, but they had like really good phone conversation. She was like, he was really, really funny and like really made me laugh. Oh, I think they did go out in person the second time. Anyway, she was like, he was really funny. He really made me laugh. And then he asked her out on a second date. But she was like, she ended up telling him like, no, I don't want to go out with you again because I don't think that this is a connection of a romantic nature. I feel like this is kind of more of a friend thing. It feels like more of a friend connection than romantic. So she told him no. And she was like, but you know, hey, have a nice life. It was really, really great to get to know you for that week or whatever, because it was just like a week. So she said she was so which when she told me, I was like, oh, that was really nice of you to, you know, let him know. I was like, I think it was really thoughtful of you that you let him know, like, hey, even though we had a nice date, even though we had a nice connection, I'm just really not feeling it. But she talked to her counselor, and her counselor was like, well, you know, what is it about you that you could just cut him off like that? Because you said that you really liked him, that you really enjoyed it, like that you laughed, that you had fun, that you haven't connected with somebody like on that deep of a level in a while. And she was like, yeah, I think I was centering him. I was centering his feelings and people pleasing a little bit, because I was feeling like, well, I don't want him to think if we go out again that it's going to be of a romantic nature, because it's not that. It's going to be just like a friend thing. And so the counselor was like, but why would you stop yourself from having fun? Like, why didn't you just go out and have fun with him? Like, you had fun the first time. Like, why did you center him? Basically, why couldn't you just not try to think so far ahead and just have a fun time? Like, if you had fun the first time, like, go have fun. And she was like, well, I wanted to be thoughtful. I wanted to be kind. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want to lead him on, which I thought was thoughtful. But her counselor was like, why are you worried more about him than what you want? Like, you could have went out with him a second time and had a nice time, but you like stopped yourself from doing that just because you were so afraid that he might get hurt, that he might be led on, as opposed to just enjoy yourself. And so I was like, you know, this is so challenging for me, because I really think that you were being thoughtful. Like, you were being thoughtful because like you didn't want to lead him on. And I always appreciate that if a dude lets me know, like, hey, I'm not interested in you romantically, and didn't want to lead me on. But yet and still she feels like, and their counselor feels like, she did the right thing. And I was just like, yeah, that's challenging for me, because the propensity for me is the same, to want to center someone else's feelings and center their heart and center their emotions and center what would be best for them. And because I want that in return, you know, because I want that too. And I think this ties back to the situation that I just brought up with the guy and the newborn pictures and all that, because I was feeling like, I wish, you know what, what am I going to do? I'm going to blend this out a little bit first. I feel like I need to wash my blenders. I do need to wash my blenders. I feel like I do need to. Anyway, because I feel like I would have loved for him to think of her first. I would have loved to have thought like, oh man, this woman is in trauma. Let me just let her know I'm not interested, because she don't need to be worrying about this. She don't need to feel bad about this. I wanted him to center her, but he didn't. He centered himself, and that's okay to do. It's not selfish. That's why I'm not going in on this guy or like, he's so wrong, or he's so selfish, or he's such a jackass for ghosting her. No, he centered himself, like a lot of men do. And women do too, and that's really, really okay. And that's one of the things I'm realizing and learning, is like, sometimes in life, protecting yourself first really is the most important thing, because no one else can do that for you. No one else is going to protect you first before anybody else. Sometimes I like look at my makeup in the natural light, because it's such different lighting from here to there. Anyway, so that whole situation with my girl really challenged me. It really, really challenged me, because here I'm thinking like, good for you. Like, good for you for being honest with this dude. Good for you for being upfront. And then having her counselor be like, yeah, but you could have did something different, and that would have been okay too. And I'm like, oh, I agree, but it's just such an uncomfortable truth. I do agree though. So anyway, I'm curious what y'all think about that. Should we choose kindness first? Should we not? Is there a place for not is there a place? We know there's a place, but I am curious, like, if y'all tend to ghost or zombie or breadcrumb in an effort of protecting yourself before you think about the interest of someone else. I think I'm probably always going to have a propensity towards people pleasing, even though I'm learning more about it. I'm trying to actively not be a people pleaser. I'm trying to think about what I can do different, how I can challenge myself in this. But because I have that propensity, I think I'm probably always going to lean towards that if I'm not in a healed and reflective place. So I'm just curious. what y'all think about that, where you're at. It's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. But I will say this, I always want to choose kindness. For me, I always want to choose kindness, but not at my own expense. I think what I'm learning, my lesson, my lifelong lesson is trying to learn how to choose kindness, but also protect myself first, since I have not done a very good job at that. I'm trying to put too much makeup on, like I said, because I have a job interview in not that long from now. So I want this to be real low key. I feel like with this lighting, y'all can't even really see it. But where's my... I wish my makeup situation was a little tiny bit more organized. I really do, y'all. I really, really do. Okay, I think I'm going to end this and finish after. So, thanks for watching. We'll talk again tomorrow, hopefully. Bye, y'all.